Hello, welcome back to the channel. This week we're doing a sketchbook tour of when we went on vacation in Newfoundland, Canada. I thought you would enjoy seeing the sketches I made. So this is when we first arrived at Newfoundland. We took the ferry from Nova Scotia. Well, before we went to the campsite, we did a little drive up the south coast of Newfoundland to a place called Rose Blanche Lighthouse. This is the first sketch I made. And I usually marked PA, meaning plein air, and I was really happy with this sketch. It was a good starting a new sketchbook. It was all blank, so this was a good way to start out, and it gave me good feelings for the rest of the trip as far as drawing went. While we were at the camp at J.T. Cheeseman Provincial Park, I drew this sketch while sitting next to the little river that we were next to. A fly fisherman had walked the opposite bank, so I thought I'd put him into the sketch. Kind of made a little story out of it. This is when we were in the same area. We went up to look at a lighthouse, the Cape Ray Lighthouse. And I sketched that while I was sitting there as well, and even added some watercolor to this one. And this is the Cape Anguille Lighthouse. Another sketch done on site. And we've moved to a different campsite at the Barishwa Provincial Park. And this is from the campsite. It's not the best sketch, but with the story it kind of reminds me of the view we had. Moved up to Gros Morne National Park. This is a small stream that was on the Stanleyville Trail. This is a trout river, a sketch done from a photograph that we took while we were looking around. Nice little fishing scene. Boats and dry dock. This is another one done on site at the Lobster Cove Lighthouse. Nice lighthouse, and the guides were really good, very friendly, and they have a really nice museum inside. About the lighthouse and the history of it. We took a hike along the Southeast Brook Falls. These are a few sketches done from photographs taken up the trail. I wanted to capture the moss we'd seen. Still in Gros Morne National Park, and this is at Green Point. Sketches done from photographs back at camp. More sketches done from photographs back at the camp. And this was our first iceberg that we saw. We went early in the year, early June, with the express purpose of seeing icebergs, so that was really exciting for our first one. Then we went up to the Lanso Meadows, reconstruction of a Viking village. Did a few sketches of artifacts there. And this is drawing done on site back at the campsite. This is our little Trillium trailer. And a new portable power bank and the solar collector got for this year, and it worked really well. It was very nice. From a photograph of a little seal we saw upside the road, in the water, of course, but it was nice. I like to put a few sketches together to make like a little story to fill the page. Kind of worked out nice. And this is Fox Point Lighthouse, done on site. This is done from a photograph that taken this day. It's a Kanzo water bomber. And they had the actual plane in a little park. It's kind of a memorial too. Some people died fighting fires. Our first moose we saw as we were driving along, looking out toward the Coish. Don't know how you pronounce that, but near Twillingate. And I sat and started to draw this huge rock. So interesting to me. That had lots of ins and outs and shadows, but it took so long to draw it that I only did part of it. But I had the gist of the whole thing. And that's when we went up to the dinner theatre in Twillingate that evening. That was really nice. And this is Jenkins Cove, Newfoundland, near Twillingate again. Done while sitting in the car. Came out quite nice. I like that. And then we went up to Sir Richard Squires Provincial Park. Along the trail going down to the falls. There was a little stream. And, drew a picture of that from a photograph I'd taken. I really liked that. It was more interesting to me than the big falls, actually. And again, looking for icebergs. This is from a photograph that we'd taken at Gillard's Cove. Some large icebergs had made their way into the cove, and there was a tour boat out there taking a closer look. It's another sketch of a little area near Twillingate. Sometimes I like to do the ink drawings, and sometimes I like to add the watercolor. Kind of gives the page interest too. And a couple of dry dock fishing boats at Margrave Harbour. This is at Terra Nova National Park. There was a long stairway to get down to the water side. So I thought I'd put that in a sketch just to remind us of how long it took to walk down. And this is from a photograph of a couple of terns that were playing around above the water. This is from a photograph of Salvage, Newfoundland, and the village itself was really nice. I did a sketch back at the camp. This is another sketch on site I did of Bonavista Lighthouse. The village of Trinity. The whole village is kind of a historical site with lots of historic buildings. Took a couple of photographs and did these back at the camp. And up at Bonavista, the town of Bonavista, little scene of the harbour area there, and up at Elliston, where we sat and watched the puffins for hours and hours. They're really close to the shore. Really nice just to sit and watch them. They're little characters. And I did that drawing from a photograph. This is a photograph I took of a squirrel that stole one of my cookies as I was sitting relaxing at camp. So I thought I'd do a sketch of that from the photograph, and just to remind myself that funny moment. The harbour at Plates Cove. Sketch done from the photograph back at camp. And this was done while sitting next to this stream at this campsite, Loxton Path Provincial Park. We had a beautiful camp right on this stream, and it was so quiet, kind of isolated from the other campsites. And then we went up to hike on the Skirwink Trail. If you're ever in Newfoundland, that is a beautiful trail. Goes right along the side of the huge cliffs, and amazing. Then we went toward Cape St. Mary's Ecological Reserve, where there's a huge colony of gannets there. And so I put a gannet in this page from a photograph that I took of one. And this is Fort Royal. The remains of the fort taken by the French and the British, back and forth like that. And there's quite a history there. And quite a placement for a fort too, overlooking the bay and the town. And this is when we went up to St. Vincent's, Newfoundland, and I did this from a photograph that we'd taken. This is a very deep bay, and the whales come right up to the shore, almost. It was just a beautiful sight. And this is Fortune Lighthouse. Drove down and I did this while sitting in the car, I think, or well, maybe I put the stool out. Nice little sketch. As we were driving along, we're walking around to see the houses once in a while that are inspirational. So that's when I took a picture of, and I drew back at camp on the Burring Peninsula. A nice little harbor scene. I liked how that one came out too. And this is in Botwood, and there's a whole bunch of murals. Let's see, over 18 murals all around the town, done by various artists, and they're huge. You see my wife standing next to this one here. The whole side of buildings are painted. Very nice. Quite worth the visit. And another sketch of a harbor boat. And this one at Blow Me Down Provincial Park. And this is at Bottle Cove. I took a photograph of some irises and made a drawing of them after, back at camp. At Burgeo, Newfoundland. Quite a picturesque little fishing town. Did this sketch from a photograph taken that day. And while staying at Sandbanks, near that area, pictures of various flowers that we saw around, and a little scene next to the one of the beaches that I like. And that is it. And then took the ferry the next day on our way back home. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. A little look at my sketchbook. I really enjoyed making the sketchbook, and it's so nice to have the memories. So thank you for watching. Thank you for joining me on this little walk down memory lane. Hope you tune in next week. See you again.